Hey everyone, Kelly here from Kellie Chasse Fine Art for another episode of Creating with Kelly. Today we're going to cover alcohol inks and a wet and wet process that I use to create these cute and fast little warm-up paintings of some seascapes. So stick around, I will show you all the details, and if you want to check out another video of this beautiful one with clouds here, I'll put a link up here for you in the right hand corner up top. Click on that, check that out, and we'll get started soon. I do have full online classes. You can find them over there at my website at kellylynart.com, where I have over 2,500 students in 85 different countries and over 24 online classes that have lifetime access. So head over there and check those out. I'm totally looking in the wrong spot. Over there. Welcome to my YouTube channel, where I have new videos every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you click that subscribe button and click the little bell and you'll never miss one. Hey everyone, happy Tuesday to you. I have to be honest with you, I am doing this one really quickly. My son broke his ankle this week, so it's been a little hectic over the weekend. So I am rushing to get this one done, but we're going to be doing an alcohol ink quick wet and wet demo here, and using the Ranger inks, and I have just a very small little piece of 4x4 Yupo paper. This is translucent Yupo paper, and we're going to wet this one right down with using, I think this one is aqua blue. I can't see the bottle here as I'm redoing this, but and this is green, but you can use any blue or any green with this. And you can see here where I'm trying to make these little islands. I do this really quickly. It's very wet, and oops, I have a little bit of purple still on my brush. I didn't even clean my brush off last time, but you know what? Those little accidents sometimes make it. So I have a little purple in that sky now. It actually looks pretty. So I'm going to push that off on the edge there because that turned a little bit more of a brown color. I'm going to actually play with this for a few minutes here while I wait this out, let it dry a little bit. Now, when you use a lot of ink like this, it does take a little bit longer. I'm not using any blending solution for those of you that were asking that question on the last video that I did with a wet and wet background. And this is in real time here, so we're about 2 minutes in roughly, or not even 2 minutes. So I'm going to use a little bit of pitch black here. Now, I play with this until I find the right consistency, or I should say dryness of the inks. And for those of you that really struggle with trying to create something that's more realistic, usually your inks are too wet. So when you're doing this type of technique, the wet and wet, it's very similar to watercolor when your watercolor paper is really wet. Now you can see where you're getting lots of blooms because anywhere there is ink already on, it will move that aside or blend into it. So this is really one of those things, and this is why this is a great practice, because you can really get a better understanding of how long it takes for inks to dry and what it will do as it's drying. And now it's hard to overwork this when it's like this because it's still wet. It's very easy to overwork an alcohol ink once it's dry because you're getting lots of blooms. This really is more of a softness, or a soft bloom, I want to call it. So you don't have those bright dots like you do once the ink has dried. So I have a little excess on top. I'm liking the way this is going. It looks very serene, very soft. Because some of those trees are still expanding in there. I didn't use a whole lot of black because I still wanted some of that green to show through. Now this is almost like a negative painting when you have it really wet like this, and I'm using my brush and tapping the brush and just wiping it off, so you can actually pull the ink out a little bit, which will give you a little bit of texture in here. But because again it's still wet, it will fill back in and it creates this little grassy look to the bottom here. So those trees are almost getting there. I am going to just scoop out a little bit of more paint here to give it a little bit of reflection look in the water. And I also do wipe off that ink when I drag it across, wipe it off, drag it across, wipe it off, using my little paper towel here on the side. So you can see how long you really can work this. I say it's long. I guess for some people this is a very short period of time. I'm a pretty quick painter for the most part. So I have finished that up. I've let this dry now, and I attempted to use a Sharpie with this, and I found it just a little bit too stark. We'll throw a couple birds in here, but that black, I just didn't really like that sharp line. I tried a little tree in here as well, which that was okay, but again, it was just a little bit too stark for me. And then down the bottom I was going to do a little bit of rocks, but once again, because that is so light in there, I just felt like that black was just a little bit too stark. It didn't look more realistic to me. So I'm going to put a little bit more of the pitch black in here. And again, now this is all completely dry, so you'll see it does something a little bit different. It stays right where it's at. You can see how dark that is. Let's put a tree up in here as well. Now there's no more blooming because this is the background this is all dry. So I'll get a little island here, maybe a little rocks. Do a couple more trees in here. Looks like an island. I'm going to go over this one again because I thought it was just a little bit too stark with that black marker. And that was just a black Sharpie that I used for that. Now it's starting to dry. You can see where this skips across. I'm almost doing like a dry brush technique here. Now the black was too dark for me, so I'm going to pop a little bit of that green on top of it, see if we can get that to move a little bit. Have a little bit of variation in color here now. I like that a little better. There we go. So see how you get those blooms or those circular dots almost in here. And then I'm just continuing to work this. We'll put some more grass up on the top here again. And you can see the difference from when I was doing this last time with just the lighter colors and it was almost pulling the ink out. Whereas now it's putting the ink in because you're working on a dry background. I'm going to put a few of the long blades of grass. I'm sorry, my hand is kind of in the way here. I realized that after I filmed it. But I'm just doing this little flip up motion with my wrist basically, and getting some little blades of grass in there. And that also is starting to dry now. So there we have it, a real simple, easy, fast little warm-up painting. I hope you enjoyed it. And I may or may not be back next Tuesday, depending on if he has to have surgery on his ankle. Oh, poor kid. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to check out my online courses if you have a chance, and we'll see you guys hopefully next Tuesday. Have a great week.